Ex-pro blasts chaotic calendar amid Coco Gauff and others complain, too much irrelevant tennis. The relentless grind of the professional tennis calendar has become one of the most pressing issues in the sport, with a growing chorus of players citing burnout and injury from a schedule that stretches across 11 months of the year. Even Coco Gauff has been openly critical of the WTA's demanding schedule, stating that its mandatory tournament rules are unsustainable from a player health perspective. Yeah, obviously with the mandatory rules, I know why it's in place with prize money and everything. Do I agree with them? I guess on a business point it can kind of make sense. But on, a player health standpoint, I don't really agree with it, the American said. Top competitors like Alex de Minaur have attributed early exits at major tournaments to feeling burned out, while others, including Jack Draper, warn of mental burnout from the constant travel and lack of a meaningful off-season. This player frustration exists alongside a commercial landscape that continues to expand, with the ADP adding a new Masters 1000 event and extending existing ones to 12 days, creating a complex conflict between athletic welfare and the business of the sport. In this heated debate, a compelling and clear-eyed solution has come from an authoritative voice within the tennis establishment. Weighing in on the conversation, former British number 1 and ADP pro Tim Henman has offered a stark critique as seen on Sky Sports Tennis on X. I think also the conversation around the idea that there's no tennis for the fans, and for me there's too much irrelevant tennis at times in the calendar, and when they talk about February, historically on the ADP Tour there's been 12 tournaments in 4 weeks, he said, elaborating on the current schedule. He continued his criticism, adding, what does that mean when you've got Sinner playing here and Alcaraz there and Zverev here and Djokovic over there? It doesn't provide a clear narrative for the fan. For Henman, the solution is counterintuitive yet simple, as he said, and so for me, the idea at the highest level of certain weeks where there is no tennis I think is a good thing for everybody because it gives the players an opportunity to rest. It gives the fans sort of the chance to build the excitement about the next tournament that's on the calendar, and that's where, I think we need to. Furthermore, he points to the more streamlined structure of Formula One as a model, where a focused season of 24 races currently with clear gaps in between makes the sport easy to follow. I'm not necessarily a massive F1 fan, but it's pretty easy to follow. Every couple of weekends there's a race and there's 20-something races, and at the end you add up those points but you've got the gaps in between, the Brit said. Central to Henman's argument is a direct challenge to the ADP's commercial strategy of extending top-tier events. He explicitly stated, and I think we've got great assets in this sport led by the 4 Grand Slams, the Masters Thousands, they are good concepts to get the best players. I don't agree with the 12 days, I think they should be shorter to 8 or 9 days, you get 2 weekends, and then when you package that together, it's much easier for the players to compete at their very highest level but rest and recover, and then you can build that product. Ultimately, the debate over the tennis calendar is a struggle for the sport's soul, pitting commercial growth and volume against the long-term health of its athletes and the clarity of its product. Apart from Coco Gauff, even other tennis veterans have spoken out about this issue. Just like Coco Gauff, this pro also had similar concerns with the tennis scheduling. Recently, the 35-year-old German tennis star Jan-Lennard Struff shared his thoughts on the scheduling issues, saying, "I think we're all good actors too. We athletes and tennis players. I don't think that everyone feels good all the time, absolutely not. In a year, when I play around 50 matches, I'd say for 5 or 6 of them it is 100% great. The rest is just about dealing with what's available, dealing with what I have today, what I can play, how I'm feeling mentally, and pushing through." He pointed out that for most of the season, players aren't really at their best. Instead, they're just trying to manage and endure, hiding their physical and mental challenges to meet their professional duties. This situation isn't just happening on the ADP Tour. WTA players are speaking out about the tough grind too. For sure, Coco Gauff wasn't the only one affected by the scheduling. There are others. Daria Kasatkina from Australia decided to wrap up her 2025 season a bit early, saying she was at breaking point from all the emotional and mental stress that comes with the non-stop circuit. She pointed out that she's not the only one feeling this way, and world number 2 Iga Swiatek echoed her thoughts, describing the mandatory tournament schedule as impossible, and suggesting that players might need to overlook the rules for their own well-being. We'll just have to wait and see if the ADP and WTA decide to address these complaints. The tennis world has never been shy about debates, balls, surfaces, formats, prize money, even late-night scheduling, but in recent months, one issue has surged louder than all the rest: the season's chaos. And now, an ex-pro has stepped forward with a critique so blunt and resonant that it has sparked an industry-wide echo. "Too much irrelevant tennis," he declared, summing up what many players, fans, and even insiders have tiptoed around for years. But the timing of his words couldn't be more electrifying. Coco Gauff, along with several other top stars, has recently voiced her own concerns about burnout and scheduling overload, giving the ex-pro's assessment a new wave of credibility. What follows is a story about a sport pushing against its own limits, a calendar bursting at the seams, and the athletes trying to breathe inside it. A sport that never stops. Tennis is, in many ways, a miracle of global consistency. While other sports merge their seasons with off-seasons, tennis exists in a kind of endless loop. January's fireworks in Australia, springtime in America, summer in Europe, autumn in Asia, and then a couple short weeks of recovery before it all starts again. Former world number 12 and current analyst Marco Lorenzi, never one to sugarcoat, stared straight into the camera during a recent broadcast and delivered the message that rattled the room. Players aren't machines. We're expecting them to perform at 110% in a calendar built for exhaustion. And frankly, half the tournaments don't need to exist. There's too much irrelevant tennis. The clip exploded online within hours. 4 years, tennis' endless, globe-hopping format has been applauded as a testament to the sport's reach. But the dark side is becoming harder to ignore. Constant travel, insufficient rest, mandatory events that no longer feel meaningful, and rankings that punish players for simply needing a break. Coco Gauff's honest frustration. Coco Gauff, one of the most marketable, charismatic, and beloved faces in the sport, has never been afraid to speak honestly about the pressures of a heavy schedule. But this season, even she reached a breaking point. In a recent interview, she admitted the toll of non-stop competition. There are weeks when your body is saying rest.